Do you want to build your business credit to get up to 150K plus and 0% business funding? On this video today, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, but it's going to be a lot different from what most people teach about building business credit. So you're going to have to stick all the way to the end to see my different approach. So let's get it. What's going on? It's Colin Brown here for Business Credit Unlimited on back. So let's jump straight into it. How to build business credit for 100K plus, up to 150K plus, 250K plus in business funding. First of all, we have to talk about what is business credit, right? Just how you personally have a credit profile for yourself, your business has a credit profile too as well, which is called business credit. Business credit is a company's ability to borrow money and manage debt, and it's based on the trust that the business will make future payments for things that you are borrowing, like business credit cards, business lines of credit, business loans. If you're looking for a tier list on this video or a bunch of vendors, you will not find it. That's not what we're about to talk about. We're going to talk about a more effective way to build business credit here instead. So what is building business credit, you may ask? So normally when someone mentions building business credit, they're referring to paying for vendor accounts that report to business credit reports. I don't meet too many people or business owners nowadays that have not heard of this. So it's out there. Like, most people have heard something about building business credit, at least in my experience from all of the clients and prospects that I've talked to. Um, you know, uh, Look, I ain't that out. I ain't mad it out. It says here, says business credit is built on reporting on time payments to the business bureaus. Example of these vendors would be like a Quill, Uline, Granger, Crown Office Supplies, etc. And normally people refer to these accounts as tiers, in tiers, like tier one accounts, tier two accounts, tier three accounts, so on and so forth. Well, there's really no such thing in that, but we're gonna talk about that in a second. I in and out. So here's an example here where I've done a screenshot of my Quill account. So I went in here for my business, and we can see here if you click on. Well, first of all, let's talk about where this is. So I went to a product in Quill, then I checked out. Okay, forgot what the product was, like some paper or something. And once you check out, you could choose invoice my account instead of paying for it with cash or card. You would do this several times with Quill and other vendors if you wanted to build business credit the traditional way. Okay. So it's very simple. You would just, again, through these various accounts, I'm not going to go into all the different vendors in this video because there's a million videos on YouTube out there for that. All right. And this process can be costly and time consuming because you must pay these vendors for random items that you may or may not even need for your business. Like, you got a bunch of envelopes now, got a bunch of ink or whatever it is at Quill, Uline, Granger, so on and so forth, the t-shirt company that does business credit, or you may or may not even need those items. And you have to wait for those items to report. Like, sometimes it's like you got to wait for 90 days, got to purchase at least $150, you got to wait 90 days, all that different stuff. Okay, so this is the wrong way to go about it if you're looking for real money for your business. And I can't tell you how many times I have seen business owners where they're going through this tier process. They have a 700 plus score and they can start getting funding for their business ASAP, but they feel that they can't apply for business funding until like tier 5 or whatever tier it is that you finally could apply for some funding. So it's not the move. It's the wrong way to go about it. But before we talk about how it's wrong, what are the business credit bureaus, right? Because we've talked about that a few times. And I've seen many business credit bureaus out there. It's not as uniform as, say, on the personal side, we all know Equifax, Experian, TransUnion. Even though those are the main three credit bureaus on the personal side, there are many other bureaus that collect information like LexisNexis. There's a lot of other bureaus, but we know those are the three main credit bureaus that most lenders go to when it comes to
information that they're going to look at for a lending decision. It's normally going to be one of those three credit bureaus. So you have the secondary bureaus, but those are the main ones. So the main ones, or the main credit bureaus on the business side, is going to be Dun and Bradstreet, or DNB, Equifax Business, and Experian Business, and also the SBFE, which is a Small Business Financial Exchange. Okay. The SBFE is not as prevalent as the other three, but it's definitely one of the major business credit bureaus. All right. And the biggest out of all of them is Dun and Bradstreet. They issue out a business credit score called the Paydex score. A lot of y'all have heard of that before, right? So when it comes to the Paydex score, it goes from 0, or really 1, to 100, and it measures essentially how likely a business is to pay its bills on time. And most business owners are seeking an 80 Paydex score. That's pretty much the standard. Like, I get an 80 Paydex score, right? So here's what you need to know, though. Therefore, since that's like the standard and everything, and what really institutes building up a business credit score in the first place is making payments on time. It's a lot different from building personal credit. So with personal credit, you have all these different variables, right? You have payment history, you have length of credit, you have age of credit, right? The average age of your credit accounts. All right, you have new accounts, new credit, and then your credit mix, like the variety of the different types of loans that you borrow, car loan, student loan, credit card, so on and so forth, right? But here it's not as complicated on the business side. Really, you just need accounts reporting that you're paying on time, and paying early is even better. Okay. But knowing that, we know that building business credit means building up your business credit score. That's what building business credit is getting that 80 plus Paydex score, right? To show your business has the ability to pay back what it borrows. That's what building business credit is, right? So that way, when you apply for something, you can show, okay, there's 10 other times where you borrowed something, or currently you're borrowing something and you're using it and paying it back, right? So how exactly do you do this? How do you build your business credit score so that when you apply for business funding, the lender can see that you make your payments on time? Most business owners focus on the tier process, the tier list process, or the vendors that I mentioned earlier. But what if there was another way to build your business credit score without wasting too much time and wasting too much money on these random accounts? And by the way, with the vendor accounts, keep in mind that when it comes to Quill and everything, you can only use that credit within that vendor. So most of the ones that we talked about today, you couldn't use it however you wanted to. You couldn't liquidate it and use that to, I don't know, purchase a vehicle for a business. Maybe you're into box trucks, or you're in the box truck industry, or you're in real estate, all right, for a down payment for a property, or renovating a property, or whatever the case. You can't do that if you only have access to that credit with that particular vendor. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, what is the correct way to build business credit for business funding? If you're looking for some real money, what's the correct way? Here it is, y'all. Y'all ready? I hope you're ready. You ready? Simply apply and get approved for business credit cards, business lines of credit, and business loans first, instead of waiting to build business credit scores first before applying. Meaning, again, most people teach, all right, you got to start at tier 1. Got to go to Quill. You got to go to Uline and Granger, and let's see who they report at. They only report your experience. So make sure you line up your Equifax. Make sure you line up this. You don't have to do that. Okay. And I'm going to tell you why. It's possible, or this is possible, because there are many misconceptions. I ain't in and out. This is possible to actually apply for business funding first and use that to build business credit, because many misconceptions of the many misconceptions about building business credit and funding that are out there on the internet. One of the major misconceptions is that you do not need a business credit score or anything reporting to the business credit bureaus prior to applying for most business credit cards. And that's what most people think. They don't realize it, right? 2, most banks do not care about how many vendor accounts that you have reporting to the business credit bureaus. It's not a requirement for getting business funding with them at all. So nobody's going to, when I say nobody, no bank is going to look at your application and look at your business credit reports and say, geez, well, they sure bought a lot of tissue and paid it right back. Wow. $200 of tissue from Quill. They were able to manage that well. They deserve 200K. You know, you comparing tissue and envelopes to actual real money, real business funding, right? You want this? Like, you trying to get this? You don't need to, I don't know. I got nothing near me. You don't need envelopes and stuff. All right. So it's not how that works. The banks do not look at that. And don't take my word for it. Just go to any bank's website, go to Chase, go Bank of America, wherever you want to go to, American Express, and look at their qualifications and tell me, do you ever see anything about any vendor accounts or even a business credit score requirement? For the most part at least, there are some banks that want to see a certain business credit score. I can think of one off the top of my head, but for the most part, you don't need that to get started. All right. Now, third misconception, building business credit scores will not allow you to get access to no PG business funding just because, like I said, you bought some paper towels. For the most part, at least big business funding. When I'm talking about getting access to 100K, 150K, 250K plus in business funding that you can use wherever you want to, it's not going to happen just because you did a bunch of vendor accounts. Now, you could be thinking, oh, Colin, what about like Sam's Club? Or I don't know. That's like one of the main ones that I know of is like Sam's Club. You can't use that card wherever, and you can get that strictly off of non-personal guaranteed accounts. I get it. However, is that line, like, is that one card going to give you 50, 100, 150K, 250K plus? I doubt it. Okay, I seriously doubt it. I haven't seen the limits on that thing lately, but I doubt it exceeds 25K for most business owners. Doubt it. Well, it possibly could, but maybe that's what you're saying. Yeah, Colin, I'm just going to get Sam's Club, 100K limit on Sam's Club, whatever. But you have to just kind of show me that that's the case. But for the most part, it's not going to happen. All right. 90+% of business credit cards are going to require a personal guarantee. So also that's another thing, like using no PG vendor accounts is not going to give you a shortcut to business funding for the most part. Like there are other business credit cards that don't do what I said here is, the other business credit cards. I'm still not ending this out. Y'all just want to have to live with it. I'm not ending it out. I was saying here, so most business credit cards, right, that do a 0% introductory rate, they're going to be personally guaranteed. So it's really hard to get around it. So even if it's possible to get no PG business credit cards for a newer business, because keep in mind, I'm talking about for a newer business here. I'm not talking about for established businesses, because you have plenty of options for no personal guarantee. If you're bringing in $10 million a year in your business, you have plenty of options. However, I'm sure most people that's looking at this video are not in that position yet. And if you are, we got other options for you. So don't pay this no attention, because you got options, and I know the options, but if you're a newer business owner, you don't have those options. Okay. So you have to go through a personal guarantee. All right. And you don't have to go through business credit building first to apply for cards. Or you can apply for the cards first. You can get the business funding first and then build your business credit for that, because guess what? A lot of the business credit cards report. So instead of reporting Uline and Granger, why don't you report American Express or Chase, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo? Why don't you report these guys to your business credit reports instead of trying to do the Uline and everything first if you have a 700 plus credit score? Now, if you do not have a 700 plus credit score, you can go through this process of building up business credit It's nothing wrong with it. It won't hurt you. It's not going to hurt you at all. If anything, it can help. Not saying it won't. Some banks will look at this information, but just understand while you're doing it that number one, you better be focused on your personal credit too as well. So most people neglect their personal credit to do this stuff first. Don't do that. If you're going to be doing this, do it at the same time that you're building up your personal credit. Have the 700 plus credit score no matter what. There's no scenario where it doesn't help to have a 700 plus score. It doesn't really cost you much money. And if you got to go through credit repair, I guess technically it costs, but I mean, it's an investment, right? It's an investment for your future. But in no scenario, it's like, well, if I didn't have that 750 plus score, man, I would have been so much better off. Says no one ever. So you might as well do that at the same time that you're doing this if you're working on your personal credit score. But if not, don't neglect that. Don't neglect your personal credit to work on this stuff. All right. But again, I have this sheet here. Which business credit issuers or business credit, which business credit issuers report to which business credit reports. I gotta get right, y'all. Kind of trip on the words today. Forgive me. And so it says bank essentially, and the four bureaus that we talked about on the business side, D&B are Dun and Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, and Small Business Financial Exchange. Okay, or the SBFE. You got American Express, Bank of America, Capital One, Chase, Citi, Discover, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo. This is a little outdated because Discover doesn't even have business credit cards anymore. And I don't suggest or recommend Citi cards for the most part. For the most part, maybe if you like really need a TransUnion pool on the business side. But for the most part, we don't go after it because they don't have any 0% business credit cards. But as you see, though, this is just a small sample size of business credit cards that report to the various business credit bureaus. So you should do this instead. Get your business funding first, as long as you got the profile for it. And, this chart shows us banks like American Express, Bank of America, Chase, U.S. Bank, Wells Fargo, that will report to the business credit bureaus if you're responsible with the use of your funding. So how do you use business credit cards for building business credit? Simply apply, be approved for business credit cards, and use that to build your business credit instead of using Uline and Granger. And look, say if you did like 1 to 3 of them anyways, there's nothing wrong with that per se. But just like, don't do this like whole tier thing with like you're spending like months. You like a lot of people are taking out. I gotta go back to my camera for this one. A lot of y'all are taking out 3, 4, 5, 6 months just to build your business credit first before ever applying for anything. And a lot of y'all got the score. Like literally a lot of y'all being brainwashed to think that you have to do this first. Trust me, there's plenty of groups like on Facebook that I've seen that I'm still in right now that's all they talk about every single day. You just back and forth business, credit this and this reports here. Y'all, this reporting here, this is reporting here. Now, y'all got to do this now. Now it's $150 you got to spend. It's for those y'all that don't know, you be confused, but for the real ones, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Anyways, keep in mind that most banks do not require prior business credit accounts before applying. That's what I have here. Now, I talked about that. What if you don't have a 700 plus score? Focus on your personal credit first. Okay. That's where all your emphasis is. If you want to do this, no problem. But just know it's not going to help you get around. Don't just start applying. Well, I got 10 accounts reporting, so I can apply and get approved. If you got a 550 score, it's not going to happen. Okay. And for those of y'all that's watching, you already have the 700 plus score. You can move forward. Just understand that. All right. Anyways, requirements for obtaining funding. So this is to get approved for the business credit cards in the first place. 700 plus score, lower credit utilization, personal credit history, 2 to 5 years, highest limit. Really, I mean, this doesn't have to be 25K, minimum 10K, but the higher the better. No negatives. All right. And if you do have some, they better be beyond 2 years. Increase less than 3 is recommended, but you can get away with having like 3 to 7, depending on the bank, but remove any excess inquiries if needed. All right, now I'm kind of speeding through that because I've talked a lot about the personal credit requirements on other videos, and this one is not particularly focused on that. Now, which bank should you apply for to get your 100K plus in business funding so you can use that to build business credit, right? Apply and be approved for a high limit business credit cards is what I would suggest. So if you're trying to get 100K, a lot of times we're getting 100K with just one bank within 2 business credit cards, one bank. Okay. We've had several just this month, 3 clients with 100K limits, one card essentially. Okay. But if you don't know how to do that, here's what you can do. Okay. You can apply for some cards from the banks that we listed, like the Wells Fargo, US Bank, so on and so forth. Try to get like 25K within 4 cards, and there's your 100K right there. You can use the bank branch locator tool at bankbranchlocator.com to see what banks are in your state or area, so you can see what options that you have depending on your state, because you're going to want to go by what state that your business is in to see what options you have versus just applying for banks that you see like anywhere on YouTube or Instagram or wherever, social media, TikTok or whatever, because you can likely, or you will likely be denied for banks that are not in the state that your business is located in. Okay. And I have other videos with more in detailed information. So that's it. That's how you build business credit for more funding. And by the way, like once you get approved for some business funding, like say if you only have one business credit card, you're using that responsibly. Now it's even more likely that you can get your next business credit card. Okay. But we've funded so many clients with 130K, 165K, 220K, 260K plus that didn't have a single, not one, not two, like they didn't have a single business credit account, no net 30 accounts, no vendor accounts at all, 0 before applying, and they still were able to get those amounts. So you really have to understand that. But if you need help with this, you're like, what are you talking about? Like, how do I get business funding? I have a 700 plus score, but I don't know how to use it. I don't know which banks to go to. And I've seen you get higher limits for your clients. I need someone to walk me through that, right? And do it for me. Like, do all of the work for me. Well, I'm your guy. All right. We funded millions this year and we'll continue to do so. Click the easy button, the easy button, as I call it. I in and out. All right. Go in the description. You can use the link there, the first link, to book a session with us so we can see if we can help you too as well. But that's pretty much it for now. Make sure that you like, comment, and I mean that for real, comment. All right. Comments are like oxygen to this channel. So comment. Let me know that you watched, that you made it through. Matter of fact, if you made it all the way to the end, I want you to comment 250. 250. All right, for 250K. Comment that below and like, comment, subscribe for weekly funding videos. See y'all in the next one. Peace.